I think a lot of people forget in that day-to-day moment when you're literally sitting at the desk that trading is really a creative
Goal.
endeavor
Like my
when
ultimate goal, bro, is like I want to be a hedge fund manager, bro. Like I would love to like start my own fund and manage rich people's money. Like, but
Mhm.
obviously, in order to get there, bro, I gotta start off small. So
3 funded accounts with Top One. I have 1 funded account with Tradeify. I have I don't know what they call them, like an advanced growth, like challenge account with Top One, and I have an XFA. So how do you like that? It's too many for me, I know, but I have them. So I need to be able to figure out how to work that. How do you guys do that? How do you manage all the accounts?
My money from my payout still sitting in my Rise account, but it only goes to show that as much as I needed that payout to prove to myself that I'm trading or I'm doing this well, it did it really, getting that payout, what it's helped my confidence, but that money is still, it's not like I took that money out and it went towards a credit card bill that I was overdue on or something.
Mhm.
this is Behind the Charts podcast, where real traders have real conversations. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. And we actually have a special guest here today, Manny Trades on Twitter. And before we get into the discussion today, we actually have a small announcement. And as a new podcast, there's always some growing pains. And one of the growing pains for us was finding a name that really resonated with us because the name of podcasts don't always matter, but we want to have something for the long term that really showcases what this podcast is all about. So we've decided to change the name to Behind the Charts because we really want to have the conversations that take us from break even and profitable traders to 6-figure and 7-figure traders. And at some point, we all realize that the information is not on the charts that we need, and the information really is up here, and it's about the conversations that we have that lead to the breakthroughs in those aha moments that really do change our trading. So with that being the goal of this podcast, we see that name to be very fitting. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation. And Manny, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
of course, yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
So getting started, I want to know what made you choose to get into trading as, the digital online endeavor, because there's so many things to choose from. There's the Amazon drop shipping and, just infinite ways to make money online. Why day trading?
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty funny story. So I used to be a like a gaming coach. I had a pretty big gaming channel. I have like over 100,000 subs like across 2 channels. And I used to full time just play video games and coach people. And then this one dude, I used to coach this one guy. He's like 35 years old. He's in his 30s, right? And then I was like, "Hey, bro, like, what do you do for a living?" He was like, "Oh, I work in finance." I was like, "Oh, really?" And then he was like, "Yeah." And then I don't know. I would just talk about the stock market. He was like, "Hey, bro, I day trade." I'm like, "Seriously? Like, can you teach me?" And then it just went off from there. And then from there, I just became addicted. And yeah, I was like, "Yeah, this is something I definitely wanted to do."
Interesting. So you
Yeah,
were already in the online space basically, and then just found another online endeavor to go into.
yeah, pretty much.
Because one of the other questions I wanted to ask, which I feel like a lot of us, because so me and Manny are on the younger side, and we all have to fit our schedules around day trading. And for like when I first started trading, my job interfered like directly with market hours. I worked during market hours and was not able to day trade. So I was getting up early in the morning to trade with London and doing crazy stuff like that. But like overall, how have you set yourself up in life? Like what habits and systems have you put in place to allow yourself to be at the desk for the market hours that you need to trade?
Well, for me personally, I mean, I was very fortunate just because, again, like I had that flexibility of like having my own business and I could quite literally work whatever hours I wanted to work. If I needed to make content, I would literally just make it at the end of the market close. Because I was just so kind of like upset. Like once I got that taste of day trading, I was absolutely obsessed with it. So I spent from market open to market close just studying the charts, and then I was like, okay, after then I'll just put in the hours, play some games, get some footage, coach some people after. So I am very blessed to like have the flexibility to be able to do that. But yeah, for other people who don't, like it definitely is very hard to get into this industry if you don't have that flexibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Christine, how's your trading week been?
Oh, do we want to talk about that? Well, first, Manny, I think you have one of the coolest backstories. The fact that you're like are a gamer and have coached gamers. Not
Thank you.
everyone has a cool story, and I feel like you do. So that's
Thanks
on
so
your
much. Yeah.
side. Trading week has been okay. I had a big losing day today. Actually, one of my biggest losses in the accounts that I'm currently trading, but it's all par for the course. I went a little off plan today, but overall, I managed traded my plan. I just had some losing trades, and of course, I've been trying to size up, and that gave me a bigger loss, which is totally fine. Skews my stats a little bit, but overall, I think that'll even out. I still only did my big work on is to take 1 or 2 trades max. Oh no, this is a lie. I cheated that one today. So here's my issue. I don't know how you guys do this. How do you manage multiple funded accounts or combines? Because I want a 1 to 2 trading day, 1 to 2 trades a day rule. But having multiple accounts, I have 3 funded accounts with Top One. I have 1 funded account with Tradeify. I have I don't know what they call them, like an advanced growth, like challenge account with Top One, and I have an XFA. So how do you like that? It's too many for me, I know, but I have them. So I need to be able to figure out how to work that. How do you guys do that? How do you manage all the accounts?
Randy, what's your take?
It's actually funny you say that because I was just thinking about this as I was doing my journal today. I have 3. I'm only trading 3 funded accounts right now. They're all with Top One futures. I have 2 copy traded and 1 I call an aggressive account. And basically the copy traded accounts are like, I don't know, 60 or 70% to a profit target. So those have been trading very conservatively. And today I realized, so I took a trade in the overnight session. I've been wanting to size up. That's my goal the last 2 weeks. I've been working at it. So this aggressive account, I trade with the size I eventually want to trade with, which is like 2 to 3 to maybe 4 minis.
Yeah.
So I traded 30 micros. I took a lot. I got stopped out while I was sleeping for a full loss. So I was down 1,600 on the one trade, but I detached myself from that, went back to my conservative accounts this morning and traded them. I had a $500 winner, and I was so content with taking that $500 versus trying to, even though I have a $2,000 profit target on all my funded accounts, that's where my, sorry, not profit target, but daily profit limit set to lock the accounts out. I realize now that the reason I'm doing well with these 2 copy traded accounts is that I'm not trying to go for that. I'm still sizing up, but I'm taking profits a lot more aggressively. And it'll be, maybe that will take me 2 months to get it to a payout, those 2 accounts, where my aggressive one is more of like trying to see how comfortable I can be with taking bigger losses. Like I took one of the biggest losses I've taken in a while last night, and it did not faze me. Is that because it's in a separate aggressive account? Like I thought about this today, actually. I reflected on it all day, thinking about it. Like, how was I able to detach myself from that loss and then go in this morning and take 500? I'm not even ending the day green, but I turned a big red into a small red.
Nice.
So where normally I would chase it all the way to get it back to be green.
Yeah.
So, Christine, though, what your dilemma is that you have this trade rule and a specific time frame that you're trading. So you either have to copy trade and take them across all the accounts, or you have to split them up and say, like, okay, I'm going to trade this bucket of accounts today, this bucket of accounts tomorrow. And Manny, I know you do the same thing where you have a few different companies. So how are you managing, going across different accounts?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I too had kind of like that system, like similar to Randy, to where like I'd have like an aggressive and then conservative accounts. But it was honestly just kind of like too much for me because, like, it was just inconsistent. Like one day I'll be like killing it on this account, and then I'd be like losing on this account, and then it'd be complete opposite. So I wanted to like kind of bring a little bit of consistency. So I kind of like stopped doing that. Now I'm just really focusing on like one account at a time, at least until like I am able to kind of like build that consistency of like, okay, like I can get payouts. I'm making money, and now I can maybe push the needle a little bit more. And then eventually, like my thinking of what I want to do is I'd eventually like just copy trade all the accounts, because knowing me, I don't like to like kind of like, it's just a little bit too complicated for me. But I see people on Twitter like all the time, like it works for them. Like they'll have accounts for the Asian session, they'll have accounts for the New York session, But for me, I'd just rather, and this is my just preference, I'd just rather just copy trade all the accounts and treat it like it's one big live account, right? Just take it serious and just take my time with it, at least until I gain more experience. And then maybe, I don't know, I might diversify a little bit.
Talk it out though, Christine. Like, talk it out to us. What do you want to do? What do you feel like isn't working?
I think I like Manny's approach. My issue is that I have 3 separate prop firms that I'm trading with. So
are they all through Tradeify?
No, one's Tradeify and 2 are Project X, but different prop firms. So one's on TopStep X, 3 are on Top 1, and one is Tradeify. And that one I trade on TradingView through Tradeify, which I like. That's my favorite trading. Like I prefer to trade on TradingView. I do like aspects of Project X. So it's a toss up, but I really like TradingView because that's where I chart. That's where I am looking at, like that's on my main screen. So I can take a trade there, but then I have to go over to Project X for my top ones, and I'm copying the 3 accounts. So I had that worked out. So I can take a trade there. But then if I want to add in the XFA, then I have to then go to another screen, get an entry. And for me, because I only take 1 to 2 trades a day, it needs to be the same trade on all of them. I almost need to be able to copy trade across like prop firms. Here's I don't want, sometimes I get accused of saying I'm down on Top 1, and I'm not, because I like Top 1. But one rule that I do not care for is their 14-day inactivity rule.
Yeah.
And this is 14 calendar days, not trading days, calendar days. So if you are cycling through trade accounts and you don't trade that often, like you trade 1 or 2 days, and let's say you happen to have a vacation, you've hit your, I've had my account canceled. Luckily, they reinstated it for me. And you can, like, if you're more on top of life, which I am not, but if you are, you can message them in advance and say, hey, I'm going to be away for a week, and they can put your account on hold. But otherwise, you're 14 calendar days, and then they will hard breach your account and you lose that account. So cycling through the top 1 accounts doesn't make sense to me when I don't have a high volume of trades. It's a lower volume of trades. So it's like I have to copy those. But now I'm wondering if I need to I like the idea of them all together. I treat them as all one account for consistency. I'm either going to lose them all or I'm going to win them all.
So why don't you copy trade them all? Like,
how do you do that?
Trade sync.
Well, that's what she's doing.
She's trade syncer.
When I did the 2 different firms going on TradingView and TopStep X, I literally, this is all done on a laptop. Yeah. I would know exactly where I'm going to enter. If this candle's good, I'm entering. I would have we talked about this earlier. I'd have my number of contracts preset in TopStep X. I'd press buy on TradingView, immediately switch over and just do it and I would just do it literally in tandem. Yeah.
So you can, but Christine, there are options out there. I think there's 2, if not 3 companies now that have trade copying software. And I'm actually going to be having a call here with Nick Joslin this week, maybe on the weekend, but he copy trades 87 accounts, I think.
Wow.
Wow.
Right.
87 accounts.
Just a shout out, Nick. He had his second biggest day today.
Yeah.
He made 53K.
68, I thought I read, but
maybe that's updated P&L.
He made plus 50,000 on the day.
So moral of the story is we all need to go buy 87 accounts.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And he's trading. He's trading with, I think, like 10 different firms.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know if he uses like TradeSyncer to like
I'm sure it's TradeSyncer. I just don't know what plan he's on because it gets quite expensive. The more accounts you get, that's where TradeSyncer gets you with a monthly subscription. But it's something I'm looking into too, because I'm this close to buying 20 Apex accounts and going that route again. But obviously Thomas is laughing because I've been saying this for how long? He's probably like, just shut up and do it already.
I feel like this is like the 10th time I've heard that this month.
He's this close. Now it's this close. Now
you guys want to hear something really funny? They were having a 90% sale and it went off last night. It was over yesterday at midnight. I got an email this morning. The sale's running till June 1st. So I got a few more days to think about it.
More time to decide. Well, you might as well get 80.
But
just go ahead and get 80 accounts.
80.
I'm thinking you'll see. I'm going to do something crazy.
But I think this really does segue us into a good conversation here, because we're all in the middle phase of trading, where we've had some success. We see people, and we're around people that are having massive success with day trading. And something I want to talk about is, how can we find the balance between setting realistic goals but also having unrealistic goals, knowing that for us to achieve that goal, we have to do something that we've never done before. How can we manage that? And let's kick it off with Randy.
Manage it like what?
Like, how do you internally set a realistic goal, but it's also something that you've never done before? Like, if I want to take 10K in payouts, that's a goal for me, but I've never done this. I've taken a few K, but that's it. So how do I not get burnt out? How do I set a goal where I can keep moving forward, but also not feel like I'm holding myself back in some way?
So for me, I can say in the sense of, like, I set an unrealistic goal this year, and that was to make $1 million. Like, that was the whole premise of I have my goals. I want to get a payout and things along the way, but my unrealistic goal was to make $1 million this year. And I think it took me a good 3 or 4 months to learn to manage the expectations of that goal itself, where I was putting pressure on myself in the very beginning. Oh, I'm a 1 month into the year. I have 11 months left to make $1 million. I have 9 months left to make $1 million. Oh, the first quarter is done and I haven't made any, I'm not even anywhere remotely close to that goal. So I think for me, managing it is knowing that, having that goal and the desire to achieve that goal. But at the end of the day, if I don't by the end of the year, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. If I get a quarter of the way there, did I let myself down? I made $250,000 this year. Am I happy? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, just having that unrealistic goal, but at the same time, always remembering to put it in perspective and be realistic. And maybe I have to copy trade 87 accounts, and I have to, you know what I mean? Like, $1 million a year is $4,000 a day in profit. Mm-hmm. And I'm nowhere near $4,000 a day in profit. I'm maybe in Simland, I'm $4,000 a day in profit, but that means nothing when it comes to hard cash. We all know that. So,
I got
like, for me now, I just being able to let go of the concept where I was writing every day on a piece of paper, manifesting in the morning, I will make $1 million. I think I was putting unneeded pressure on myself.
So what are some of your goals right now, Manny? Because I know you haven't taken a payout yet. So what are some goals do you have one big goal? Do you have incremental goals that are going to help you get there? How are you managing that?
Definitely. Yeah. So I have some incremental goals, I would say, that is going to allow me to achieve my bid goal. Like, my ultimate goal, bro, is I want to be a hedge fund manager, bro. Like, I would love to start my own fund and manage rich people's money. But obviously, in order to get there, bro, I gotta start off small, So right now, I need to take my first payout. That's my first goal. And my plan to do that is with TopStep, because in my opinion, they just have the easiest system with just $200 a day. And I was like, okay, if I can make $200 a day for the next 5 days, I can get $1,000 payout, right? So my first goal is to make $1,000 a month. And then after that, I want to be able to do that for let's say a good quarter, right? And if I do that for a quarter, then it's going to go up to 5, 10, because at that point, I just have to keep doing what I'm doing. It's just scale it up a little bit, but I guess and to add on to kind of Randy's point too, is I really feel when you're first getting into anything in life, right? You're going to kind of need to develop a little bit of experience to understand, okay, what's realistic and what's not. Because when I first got into trading, obviously it's bro, I had 3 good months, and I was like, oh yeah, I got this, bro. And I'll put $1,000 of my own money into the account, and yeah, let's just say that money's not, I don't have it anymore. The market has it. So, I definitely think I needed to go through that experience and just be okay, you know what? I have these goals, but the experience is going to humble you. So that way you can build those smaller goals to understand how you can get to the big goals,
Absolutely. Yeah. I just want to chime in, because in Florida, we were just outside. There was this guy and his wife that started talking to me. And he was basically asking me, can I manage his money, or can I show him how to manage his own money? And he pulled up his portfolio of this is a small percentage that I'm giving to this hedge fund. It was 1.2 million. So there are people out there, so many people out there that have no idea what we're doing, no idea what this is, and are willing to give their money to us. So I'm taking the securities industry essentials exam in a couple months, and because I also potentially want to work with a firm and get some more money manager experience, and I think that's very cool.
Definitely. Yeah.
So,
I'm planning on taking my exam as well. I want to take it like September, October. I'm currently
really, you're studying too?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, dude. Nice. All right, Christine, what are some of your goals, and how do you manage, having an expectation versus a goal?
I think I've had to literally throw all expectations out the window because I kept not making them. So I really liked what Randy and Manny said, and it's basically the same concept. Like, I have a big goal, and my goal is to not manage other people's money, to manage my own money and make about $50,000 monthly. That can be, and how I measure that is over a quarter. If I look at my statements and I've made between 150,000 to 200,000, it doesn't matter how it came in monthly, really, but I'm looking at it as quarters. So if you break that down, and I think this is the important part, you have your unrealistic goal, and then you have to break your unrealistic goal down to realistic things. So like, even when Randy said his goal was to make $1 million this year, when he said he only had to make $4,000 a day, well, that sounded a lot more plausible. So for me, because I trade around 15 and I've mapped it out, I've traded around 15 days a month. I would have to make $3,333 a day. So let's say I was copy trading on 3 accounts. That's about $1,000 a day per account. Okay, I'm not green every day, so obviously there's a lot of work to be done, and you can make 2,000 one day and lose 1,000 the other day, and however that looks. But when you're looking at it and saying you only need to make $1,000 in an account, times 2, obviously, or times 3, to get to my $50,000 a month goal, like, it seems a lot easier. So my beginning goals are very much like Manny's. I want to consistently make $1,000 a month, and then I want to grow that up. It's like I have to make $1,000 a month to be able to make $50,000 a month. So all I'm trying to do is just get to a place where I'm consistently profitable, and it doesn't matter how much. It just matters consistently profitable, and then I'll be able to start building on that. Or that's the plan. I don't know if it's a shit plan, but it sounds right to me.
20 Apex accounts.
20 Apex accounts. That's all I need to hit my goal.
It's the easiest way.
Yeah.
But I do feel like you touched on an interesting point there, because you really do have to throw out all expectations. And that's something that I've been struggling with myself recently. And it's a little philosophical, because how do you show up every day to, what our job is, but have no expectations of a return? Like, I don't know if it's not like we're going to come up with a great answer on here, because that, this is going to be different for everybody, but just like some food for thought. And if anyone wants to add on that point, like, you're showing up every day with no expectations, but working extremely hard and working to grow yourself.
Sorry,
I know, I was just going to say kind of like what Christine said, but I think that's where, when it comes to trading, you really got to zoom out, and it can't be you're coming to the desk to expect making daily, even weekly, if not monthly, like quarter to say the least. If not, you're going to look back on the year and be like, because you'll have, like, I love the way that Christine was like, at the end of a quarter, if I make 150, 200 grand, that could have all came in 3 days of trading for all we know. But she hit her goal of $50,000 a month, right? So I think as traders, we always got to zoom out and look, not the red blips on the 30-day calendar, but how are we doing for the quarter, or how are we doing for the year? And then you can really start getting a perspective on your trading and what to expect from yourself.
What do you want to chime in, Manny?
But I was about to shout out, like, there's a really cool YouTube video. Like, it's like a nice little cartoon 20-minute video. It's called like The Psychology of Money. And basically the guy goes over, he's like, listen, like, if you're desperate in having these financial goals, and let's say, I want to make, I don't know, $2 million, for example, and you're like desperate, and that's like your daily driver, it's going to be really hard for you, because you're going to have those emotional swings. But if you can just kind of like detach yourself from like the materialistic thing, right, and just focus on like kind of like the process or the skill set, it's going to be a lot easier coasting your way to achieving that goal, because you're not going to have those emotional swings. Because I feel like, and I can honestly speak personally through this with my YouTube business, is that it's never a great idea to make emotional business decisions. Like, you probably make your worst decisions whenever you're emotional, which is why it's like, again, if you're on tilt, walk away from the charts. If you're on tilt, like, you should probably lock yourself out of your account. And that goes across like any industry you work in credit, like sales, finance, like whatever you work in. It's emotions are a big killer. And I feel like a lot of us are traders because, we know that you can make a lot of money in this industry, and that, we have big dreams and goals, but sometimes that can kind of like counter us and, put a lot of unnecessary pressure. But if we can just emotionally like detach ourselves a little bit from that materialistic thing that we desperately want and just focus like a little bit more on the process, then I think that's kind of like, that may be the key. But obviously it's like easier said than done. Like, it's hard.
I know. Go one level deeper. Give it something actionable on how you can detach. Is it, having a more consistent income stream somewhere else? Is it, knowing, like, because Randy's example is, he's like, I know my bills are paid regardless. If I win the money this month, if I don't, I'm going to be okay. My family's going to be okay. So like, that's powerful to detach from. But it's like a buzzword sometimes.
Yeah. I think trading from a place of scarcity like that even is like a buzzword, but it's like, just like Manny said, you got to get out of that mind frame of, and I've been having some of my best trading ever, but it's like, and not to sound like a dick, but my money from my payout still sitting in my Rise account. But it only goes to show that as much as I needed that payout to prove to myself that, I'm trading or I'm doing this well, did it really, getting that payout, it's helped my confidence, but that money is still, it's not like I took that money out and it went towards a credit card bill that I was overdue on or something. So it's like really detaching from that concept of, and again, like, I'll go back to what Christine said. It's not about what you make that month. It's about the quarter, and detaching that I had a minus 50 there. I'm down 50K this month, but I ended the quarter up 150. So, it's all, everything's easier said than done, Thomas. And that we always say, like, it's, everybody looks at everything so differently, especially in trading. But, all you can do is just kind of, I can give you what's helping me right now at the moment. So,
yeah, I think there's a difference between want and need. Like, I don't need to make $1,000 a month. I want to make big money. Like, I'm not here to make an average salary. I'm trading to make big money. To me, big money is $50,000 a month. Obviously, by that time, I'll probably want to make $100,000 a month. But the point is that I don't need to make a small salary to cover my mortgage in trading. So, and maybe that's hindering my progress right now, but hopefully it'll help in the future, is I don't have to meet any expectation for a certain dollar amount for, many years. I will expect my children to be a little bit older. I'll expect myself to be a little bit older, sitting on a beach in Italy, looking at my statement. And that's my big money days. But now I don't need to make small money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're just swinging for the fences.
I'm just swinging for the fences, and it's going to take a while. I get it. And I'm going to have to make small money before I make big money. But I'm not here to make the small money.
You know what? I heard in this Procter and Gamble video, they were talking about ways to make money. And first, the lowest tier is manual labor. Then you have leadership. Then you have communication, and then you have creativity. And I think a lot of people forget in that day-to-day moment when you're literally sitting at the desk that trading is really a creative endeavor where you're viewing the charts from this very like creative aspect of, I see this pattern and I believe this might happen and whatnot, and it's so easy to get like really attached to the money in the moment. But if you can step back and realize, no, I'm more of an artist than I am a trader, then I feel like that mindset really helps me trade without thinking about the money as much and thinking more about the pattern that I'm trading.
That's an interesting way to put it. I like that a lot, because you don't hear about trading financial markets as a creative outlet. Normally you're like, oh, people are like, oh, you're good at math. And I'm like, no, I'm not good at math. Like
Yeah,
I don't
exactly. It has nothing to do with
I don't
math.
need math. Like, I'll write on my sheet and I'll use my calculator. I have it right here.
Mhm.
And that's what's good at math, my calculator, but I don't need to be good at math. So it's so cool actually that you talk about trading being as more of a creative endeavor. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, because the whole point of this video is saying, like, if you're in a creative endeavor, that income is always uncapped. Even if you're in sales, you're like somewhat capped. And that's like a communication, level. So it's really the creative where you want to be at. That's like, if you're gonna start a side hustle, get something creative going. But let's move on to the next topic, and that is gonna be discipline, mental discipline specifically. And like, let's go around. What are some of the easiest barrier to entries to get started in mental discipline specifically that's going to, aid you on the desk? And then maybe in a little bit, we'll talk about some of the harder barrier to entry ones. So Christine, I know this was an interesting topic for you. So
I am a very non-disciplined person. That's probably been my biggest struggle. I think the easiest barrier to becoming disciplined is to write a checklist down. Like I've started doing that. And for me, it can't be long. It has to be really basic. But if it's not written out in front of me, I will not remember to do these things. Like, because I'm a fluid person. I'm carefree. Lots of great things like outside of the charts, but when you're on the charts, you want to be more disciplined. You want to follow the same path every day. And if you're the type of person that hates living the same day over and over again, like Groundhog Day, like I am, you need to have some visual thing that you're looking at to tell you this is the basic things you need to do today that need to keep the same every day. So I've started a checklist and that's really helped. It's very basic. I will always be very fluid. I'll always be, making tweaks and things like that. But there needs to be a few basic things like having no more than 1 to 2 trades. That has to be a discipline point for me where I don't veer from that. Or things like I need to check the news every day. I can't veer from checking the news every day unless I wanted to be a total idiot trading. But just small things that help me be disciplined when you're not a disciplined person. You can be a disciplined person and this will be a lot easier for you. It will be easier. But if you're not, then just do like the basic, simple list.
Yeah. And just to add on that too, like I think like some like the basics is like, okay, like if you want to have a disciplined life outside of trading, then I mean you could work, just try to consistently wake up every morning at a certain set time. If you want to put on some muscle, eat a certain amount, go to the gym consistently. Like it's just these little things. If you're, for example, for me and Thomas, if we're trying to study for our SIE exam, then we need to have a consistent study schedule. And just like building those habits will just, I believe it'll translate into trading because you're already used to, okay, I have a routine, I'm following steps, I have my plan, and and I know, okay, if I want to achieve my goal, then I kind of have to do this consistently. I can't be 1 week on and then 1 week off because it's going to take me longer to get there.
Yeah.
Because it's like how you do one thing is how you do all things. And like I know me and Manny, we both like to do some MMA, some fighting, and that requires a lot of discipline. So like maybe speak for a minute on like the physical aspect of being disciplined physically and how that helps you at the desk.
Well, yeah. So like, I mean, it's because you have like your emotions, right? And then you have to have logic, right? So I think, one way to be able to like physically like just stop yourself from like, I feel like going off the rails is acknowledging like understanding your emotions, right? Like you have to be able to acknowledge that, hey, like I'm I have an adrenaline rush right now, or like I'm not thinking straight, or I'm getting very angry now because the trade's in drawdown. Like you have to kind of acknowledge that stuff, and I feel like the more you're able to kind of just acknowledge that stuff, the better you'll be. But I feel like that just takes a lot of like self reflection, and that's not gonna happen overnight. It definitely needs to happen like over time.
When you're in a fight, is it at all relatable to being in a trade?
Oh yeah.
Explain that. I'm intrigued.
All right, for sure. So I had my first tournament back in October, right? And I was scared like hell because my wife was there. And I'm like, yo, if I get knocked down from my wife, that's not really the best look. So I tried to just, it's honestly, for example, right? We all study the charts, we all do markups, right? Those are kind of like reps that we're getting, right?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, when it's game time, you have to completely, like, you're gonna be fearful, yeah, but as soon as like the ref says fight, it's like you just go into autopilot. Your training just kicks in. And I know like a lot of guys in the military, for example, like that's why they have so much training, because when you're, having a bunch of stuff flying over your head and your life's on the line, your body just goes into autopilot mode, and then you go into training. I feel like fighting and trading go hand in hand at that, because like it's high intensity environments. At fighting, you have the risk of seriously getting hurt. In trading, you have the risk of losing some serious money.
Mhm.
So it's these high impact consequences will, if you allow your body to go into fight or flight. Now, if you don't prepare yourself and you don't train, then I mean, what does that fight or flight look like? It probably looks really sloppy,
Man,
Mm.
you touched on something so
Yeah.
good for me there. It's like we do all the reps outside of trading, the back testing, the markups, the DRC, so that when we're at the desk, we can trust our studying. And it always goes back to like if you don't study enough, then you'll be nervous and all of that. But that's very individual for everybody. But Randy, why don't you speak on discipline in trading? What does that look like for you right now?
So discipline for me, and just before I get into that, I'll touch kind of on what Manny was saying about just the self-awareness. I think, and this will be a form of discipline, but when you lack self-awareness, when you trade, it's like being in fight or flight. You don't realize you're not in this, whether it's a boxing match or you're in fighting in a battle or something, you have these emotions going through you, and your adrenaline and cortisol are going through the roof. Now, those will take control of your body, and you'll start making decisions not rationally. You'll think that, hey, I'm fine. I'm standing at a desk. I'm at a computer. I'm not being irrational, but you are being irrational, either not taking profits or moving your stop or whatever it is. But having that self-awareness to know, like I heard in Austin did a podcast with Tom Basso, and he talks about how he doesn't do breath work or meditation because he doesn't do anything for him, but he knows the feeling in his fingertips when he's in a trade. His fingertips start to tingle, and he knows something is like, I need to get out of this trade. Like it's his body telling him, the self-awareness, something is not right. His hands feel like they're cramping, or he can feel it like literally in his fingertips. Well, that's from doing him saying he's not, but it's from his breath work and meditation and just being self-aware and having that awareness of your body and what's going on. And I think when you get to that place, you'll start to be like, either you'll lock your account or you'll walk away from a loss, and you'll be like, I just did that, and you'll recognize it. But I think until you get there, I'm starting to get self-aware now, but going back to discipline, I do non-negotiable 10 minutes of meditation every morning, 10 minutes of breath work. And then it all originally started with just taking a 3-minute cold shower. And it took me a year of having a 3-minute cold shower every morning to doing the breath work for 10 minutes for 6 months. And then now adding in meditation for the last, I think, 60 days. I got to look at my app, but it's like like Manny said, you just build the discipline slowly over time and get one. And I'm a very undisciplined person. I go by my own thing. I do, I was self-employed before, and I ran my own company. So it was like, I could kind of get away with being undisciplined. There was nobody to hold me accountable. When it comes to trading, I get held accountable by blowing an account or tilting or hiding in the corner after having a bad day. Like there's so many things, but just getting 1% better every day, I think, and pick one small little thing and do it for 30 days straight. Just try it. Like I sign a contract every morning since the LA conference, and I haven't missed a day.
Dude, you're still doing that?
Still do it. And I even after I'm done doing 30 days, I put it back in the printer and I print it on the other side of the sheet of paper, and I do it again. And I have a stack like this thick of double-sided, and I'm going to this October, I'm going to burn them. That's kind of like, not like any weird way, but just
To recycle.
just to kind of like be like, here's a year gone by of like holding myself accountable. And there was many days I didn't hold myself accountable. Don't get me wrong. Don't think that every day I signed this contract and every day I stuck to every rule. There was many days where I broke many rules on that contract. But those rules got less and less and less. And I can say, confidently that soon enough, I won't be breaking any of those rules. But you're a human being. You're going to make mistakes. Like, it happens. Like, don't
And so
hold yourself.
where have you seen the most improvement in your trading from building that like mental discipline muscle?
I want to say the most improvement I've seen, like you're saying, out of everything I'm doing, what I would say is working the best.
Yeah, like so you're doing so much off the desk. You're doing the cold shower, you're doing the breath work. How do you see that positively impacting your trading?
So having, for me, that being, I guess, just self-aware, like, has been the biggest impactor. Just being able to walk away from things and detach from things and be okay with the outcome. And I have to keep repeating this, even to myself now, talking about it. I got to keep repeating, using this language of detaching from this and the outcome and being okay and content. I use the word content probably 1,000 times a day right now. I use it in all aspects of my life, because I have to be content with what the market gives me, and I have to be content with the outcome. Because at the end of the day, if I go into a trade disciplined, cold shower, electrolytes, my whole morning routine nailed, go into a trade, my thesis is right on, but the market decides to do something irrational, whose fault is that? That's not mine. I stuck to my plan. I stayed disciplined. I did everything I did, and now I took a $1,600 loss. Well, that's the risk I took getting into the trade.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I'm not trying to be like get too philosophical, but it's how I feel right now at this moment. And I think that's how I'm getting the best, seeing, my growth getting better every day versus that being in a little bit of a lull that I was in for 6 months. Right. But again, we'll have this conversation and I'm going to say to you, like, I'm back in that lull.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta, something's got to go, and I got to get out of it again, because it's going to happen. Like, for every good day, there's a bad day. For every bad day, there's a good day. You always got to remind yourself of that. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like,
So on the discipline side, Thomas, sorry if I'm stealing your next question. How, like, when it comes to the physical aspects, physical fitness specifically, because we did post that we were going to talk about this week. And, I think I tagged Tanner, the strong trader, because he's a big trader that really equates trading and some type of physical fitness. For him, it's lifting heavy shit. Might not be for everyone, but he equates these things as so, like, important together. Do you guys, how important is that to you? Like, physical fitness and trading, like, how important? I mean, we know what's important for life, but how important is it for traders to have a physical workout routine, to be physically fit, to be physically healthy?
I think it's like brutally important, and for two reasons. Depends on your time zone, first off, because for people like me and Randy, we're on the West Coast and market opens at 6:30. So first thing for me, I wake up at 5:20. First thing I do is go outside. Right now I got like a little leg injury, so I'm doing a walk instead of a run. But before, I would have a run that I'm doing every morning, and that's like a non-negotiable. It's like not even a full mile, but it's just the concept of like within 10 minutes of me being awake, I'm running, because when I come back, my self-esteem is so much higher than when I first go out. And like, this is just speaking for me very personally, but like when I don't have good self-esteem, I second guess myself in trades constantly. And I've honestly been in a little bit of an interesting rut where I'm like waking up very unmotivated to do things, very, very not like happy with what, I did yesterday or whatnot, or just like something's on my mind. But doing that exercise in the morning is what like takes me out of that negative state of mind. And there was a great interview between Piers Morgan and Chris Williamson, and he asked, what's more important, mental health or physical health? And they both had differing opinions. And Chris said physical health is more important and mental health is downstream. And that really resonated with me. It makes a lot of sense, because when I feel good about myself and I go look in the mirror, it's like, when you do a workout, it's like the only time that you can like literally like see like a future version of you if you like keep putting in the work. And that's so cool. And yeah, it just really helps get me in the right frame of mind to feel confident in myself and collected. So that's why, working out is so important for me.
And I agree with that too, because like, I mean, it's like the old saying goes, like, you look good, you feel good, and I feel like a lot of people, especially nowadays with social media, with all these like fitness models, I feel like a lot of people, they compare themselves to others, and a lot of people, they don't give themselves credit. But I feel like a good way to be able to uh give yourself that gratitude is by looking yourself in the mirror and being like, yeah, I'm proud how I look, I'm proud of who I am. And I feel like with that confidence, you can go really far with any industry, to be honest, if you have that confidence with you.
And how does it impact you, Christine? Because I know you've been big on the personal training recently and making sure that, that's like a weekly activity.
Well, once again, I had never ever gotten into a workout routine before this past year. So I started trading, and you hear it a lot in trading, physical fitness, working out, making that part of your routine. And so I traded for about a year without that. And then I finally decided that it was time. So I got a trainer and I started strength training 2 to 3 times a week. So I'm not crazy, but it's something, and it's a routine. And the thing is, I don't know about you guys, but I cannot do it on my own. Like, I have to meet somebody somewhere that I've paid to work for me to go work out 2 to 3 times a week. Because I moved home. I have a gym in my garage. Have I done it yet? Ask me. Have I worked out since I've been home?
Have you worked out, Christine?
No, I have not. I have
We know
not
the
worked out since
answer.
I've been home, because there's no one here that I've paid to meet me to work out. So that's a challenge that I have to meet, because I spent a year getting my body into a better position to where I could lift some weights and I could work out without dying. And now it's like I'm probably going to have to build it. I will say I've done Pilates twice since I've been home. The classic
Isn't Pilates supposed to be
hot
harder
girl
than weight
workout.
training?
Dude,
Pilates is hard.
Maybe.
yes.
It is.
It is hard.
It is hard.
Do you guys ever do the hot Pilates?
No,
I die.
I don't even do Pilates,
So
let alone
dumb.
hot Pilates.
One of my high school friends, his mom worked at one of these studios.
Yeah.
So I would do hot Pilates and hot yoga. The room was 95 degrees. You're sweating like crazy. And
No.
even it's like a 20-second exercise, and you have like 6 20-second exercises. At the end of the hour, you're just killed. Absolutely killed.
I'm laughing because you said mom, your friend's mom in a hot Pilates studio. And I'm just like, just laughing in my head. It sounds like a movie. That's so awesome.
I know that's what kept me going for like 2 years. But
I can imagine.
But Randy, I know you've also been on like a working out journey in the last couple months, year. What got you into it initially? Like, what was the activation energy that got you started?
So for me, I have a bad relationship with food, and this will go into, it'll segue into trading. When I first started trading, those tilt days would lead to a bag of chips, or, it would lead to something. And this goes to just like, if you're not physically fit, you're not mentally fit. Because if you're not mentally fit, you're not physically fit. Any which way you want to look at it, you can look at it from both sides. But so I just find now for me, and this is a struggle of being on the West Coast, like you go out for a jog, I have my breath work, my cold shower, and my meditation in the morning. And I was trying to do a bit of a workout, but it just timing I was not getting out of the workout what I would expect to. So it would kind of be deflating. I would go in to do, my arms and my back or something, and I'd only get halfway through one body part, and it'd be like almost time to get to the charts or whatnot. So for me, actually, I'm setting a goal, and you guys can all hold me to this now, is I'm going to fit in whether it's a 10-minute walk or 30-minute walk before I sit down at the desk every morning. And I have a knapsack that I wear it with Miles when I used to carry him, but he doesn't go in the carrier anymore. It's too big. I want to put a 20-pound dumbbell in it. And then I'll look into getting a 50-pound weighted vest. And, I might not run in the morning, but I'm going to force myself. Like I said, if I got 10 minutes before I got to be at the desk, I'm going for a 10-minute walk. If I have 30 minutes, I'm going for a 30-minute walk, but I want to get back into that.
Randy, do you know what those are called? Hot girl walk.
Hot
with the weighted vest?
Hell yeah. Yes.
Or it's called like a rut.
You know
sack.
it. Wait
Yeah,
a
I was
sec.
gonna say,
Hot girl walk.
rucking sounds
Rucking,
so much
yeah,
cooler
yeah.
than a hot girl
Yeah.
walk.
Nope.
Because-
You're going for a hot girl walk every morning.
Because
Oh,
it's like
God.
also just the only thing I forgot to say is like we wake up so early, our bodies are just not awake yet. And that physical movement is like the boost that just gets your body awake. Personally, I haven't been drinking caffeine in months. I do decaf coffee actually, decaf Nespresso. And
Crazy
I
son
don't
of a
notice
bitch.
I don't notice any difference. Like I just use like the exercise as like the activation energy for like my lymphatic system to wake up and everything.
Like speaking on that quickly, Thomas, something I noticed when I started doing my breath work. I used to check my blood pressure every morning when I first started trading. It was just like I was in a little bit of a less healthier a time where it was just like I was checking my blood pressure, and I started noticing I was doing breath work for 10 minutes and it was relaxing, this breath work. First thing I did when I woke up, my blood pressure was through the roof. And I started wondering and figuring out, actually, because of coming out of this state of rest, deep state of rest, and doing this breath work, I'm actually waking my body up so much that it's like doing a run, which is great. It's not a bad thing at all, because my blood pressure, when I check it prior to doing breath work, it is 110/75. Like, it's really good. So it just goes to show, like Thomas is saying, waking up, we're not ready, and to do some sort of, whether it's breath work or it's going for a run or walk or cold shower, anything, just do something to wake up that nervous system of yours, and you'll start to, feel better. It's not like I'm doing breath work and going back to bed, right? Like, it's just, but it's interesting to know how deep of a state my body's in rest, and that doing something simple like breath work and holding my breath gets you out of that state of deep rest and gets you like fired, like gets you going for the day. So
Yeah, with that, the end of it, I think we'll put a pin in it here. And the end of these conversations really made me think about a few good topics for next week, specifically like vices in trading. If you have a bad day, what's that vice that you turn to? Because we all know what it is, and we're all probably trying to break it. So I think that's going to be a great conversation to have. And also something, Christine, you mentioned so long ago, but I still remember is like, you got your blood work done and you woke up with higher levels of cortisol on mornings that you were trading and stuff. So, there's so much more like actually about the body that goes into trading. And I think, that'll be a great discussion to have. But is there any final thoughts anyone has about discipline or, just the overall journey of trading that they want to add?
1% better every day makes a difference. Look back at the end of the year and you'll see.
1%
It's a marathon,
better.
not a sprint.
Yeah. Manny,
Cool.
you should tell us, before you go, I was just on your live trading. Are you live trading every day?
Yeah, I'm trying to live trade every day, Monday
Nice.
through Friday, 9:15. Trying to document my journey, and it's also fun. I don't like trading alone, so
I love it because you're a new trader. Like I love that you're here because I haven't made a payout. You haven't made a payout. Hopefully we're going to do that soon. But I think this whole goal of this podcast, or one of them, was to bring traders like us together. So I love that you're live trading, because I think a lot of people in our similar situation can go to a channel like yours and really feel more included, instead of like looking in on something. You're kind of part of something. So Thomas, we should tag him below so people can find him.
thank you, guys. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything will be below, all of us. So
Thank you.
yeah, with that, thank you so much for coming on, Manny. This has been a great conversation, and we appreciate your time so very much.
Thank you guys for having me, and it was fun. It was really fun.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
Take care.